Hey, how you doing, everybody? Fox is not centered in his magnifying glass. Oh, and I'm way dim. Hang on, give me a second. This is all stuff that we typically do. I was gonna say pre-stream, but technically this is the pre-stream that we typically do pre-stream.
Pre-stream.
But I was just telling Fox that my boss, like 15 minutes before the stream was gonna start,
Oh.
just did a hey, because we're getting freezing rain down here. Weather is terrible. It's just like, hey,
Bad time.
one store is closed and the other store is only open for 3 hours. Can you please put up a where in the world? Oh, right, it's gonna be over here. Where can you please put up a post, social media post, saying that one store is closed, the other one's only gonna be open for a few hours. And so, I mean, to her, she doesn't know that we're trying to podcast at 11. So for her, it was like, hey, can you just please do that real quick? But for me, it was like, ah! So we're a little bit behind today. Apologies.
I've got a better intro, so I'll let you know what it is when we get there.
Oh, you got it? You got the intro?
I know what we're doing.
Cool. All right. Right on. Anyway, hey, well, for our pre-stream chat, I have a topic that I'm going to suggest.
Okay, just a quick poll. Does anybody know how to immediately change the weather in a certain location? Because I could really use that right now.
So we talked about this in which stream, whatever it was. I've been streaming. This is my third day in a row. So one of the previous streams, we were talking about the weather and how it's kind of crazy all over the nation and whatnot, but it was finally melting. Yesterday, it rained a ton, but it rained a ton at like 35 degrees, and that just causes melt, a ton of melt. But right now, literally, it just dipped back below 32, and we're getting freezing rain again. And I can see that my window, whenever freezing rain, the craziest thing to me is the like mesh window thing, the window
screen.
Thank you. The window screen just becomes like this other pane of glass. It's just this sheet of ice, and it's the wildest thing. And I can see that it's doing that on mine right now. So I don't know when you left.
You good?
No, apparently not. I don't know when you last left your house, Fox. I took my kids to Taekwondo, and it's a half-hour class, and it takes about 15 minutes to get there, so it was an hour total. There was 1 hour of time that I was gone on Monday. Other than that, I have not left the house since work on Thursday, I think.
I think for me it was Saturday, if I'm not forgetting any. Time has been weird.
Yes.
I went and got coffee on Saturday morning. I was like, yeah, we'll go early in the morning. It'll rain. It'll probably start snowing, and it did. But I was like, it'll be fine. And then oh no, we went on Monday to a coffee shop that's half a mile from us, and it was fine. But there have been 1, 2, 3 things that I was looking forward to going to that have been canceled since 4, at least.
I was going to have a thing on Saturday that I was looking. It was my birthday party.
Oh wait, sorry, 5 things. That's another thing I was looking forward to.
Literally my birthday, and we had to cancel it, and now nothing's happening ever because nobody likes me.
That's true.
Fargo Fox says, I went to Freddy's on Sunday. Almost had to put the Bronco in 4-wheel drive. Everything is just a sheet of ice right now. It is, and it's wild, man. This is probably the 4th or 5th time I've experienced freezing rain, and it's still just as shocking and debilitating as it was the first time. Just feeling trapped. Yeah. Absolutely trapped. It's crazy.
Luckily, we went shopping, and we have food, which is nice.
Yeah, we did the same thing. We went and did a shopping trip on Friday, I think, knowing that this storm was coming. We're like, okay, we need to go shopping. We need to get food, whatnot. So, man, when I very first heard about freezing rain, my wife told me, yeah, sometimes it'll rain and when it hits the ground, it turns into ice. My literal response was, no, that's not how it works.
That's ridiculous.
Either it's frozen or it's not. Like, either it's cold enough for things to freeze and it's going to be snow or hail, or it's not cold enough for things to freeze and it's just going to be water. That's not how it works. And then I found out that it's that in the atmosphere, it's like 35 degrees, but on the ground, it's like 30 degrees. And so as the water falls, it doesn't freeze until it hits the ground.
Right.
And it's...
Plus, moving water doesn't freeze as quickly as stationary water.
Right.
So.
Right. So, yeah.
The momentum.
It's always wild. Always crazy. Anyway, what have you been doing to pass the time in your seclusion, Fox?
Trying to entertain my son, and because he's also going stir crazy.
Yeah.
And then other than that, playing Baldur's Gate 3.
Same. We can talk about that for a sec because I'm not going to bring it up.
The outside times.
You're missing the outside times. Yeah, Baldur's Gate 3. Okay. I am a few hours in. What everybody talks about, the big one that everybody does, is the Goblin Camp. I have just entered the Goblin Camp, is all I'll say. I haven't completed anything yet. Farrago Fox finally playing Assassin's Creed Black Flag on the Nintendo Switch and caught the flu. Oh, that sucks, man. I feel like my body's been deciding if it's sick or not. It's kind of been like, you feel like crap right now, but an hour later you're feeling fine, anyway. But anyway, I'm a few hours in. It's weird because so far it's felt like a really solid RPG, like a really good game that I'm really enjoying. The characters are great. I'm having a lot of fun. And I actually have to stop and remind myself, everything that I have done is not the linear path that I was meant to take.
Right.
There were 800 other options I could have chosen and I didn't. And I have a fundamentally different experience than what other people have done in this game right now.
Yeah.
And they have done it so naturally that you don't notice it while you play. That's so crazy. So have you resolved the situation with Kaga yet? Minor spoilers for the first few hours of Baldur's Gate 3, by the way.
Not resolved, but I'm in the middle of that.
I've
been moving pretty slow, but I've been doing everything I find. Just every single side path, walking down, So but I haven't resolved that situation yet.
I resolved that situation pre-Goblin Camp.
For me, the Goblin Camp is like is necessary to resolve that situation.
I found a different way.
I recognize, like, I saw the other paths I could have taken, but the way I'm choosing to play the game, I'm a paladin and I am leaning hard into justice. And
can I tell you the path that I took?
But also, it's my definition of justice. So
right.
If you would like to, sure.
Yeah.
No spoilies.
Yeah. So no major spoilies. No. But because I'm a bard, so I'm a little bit sneaky. I snuck around a little bit, and in the druids like area, in their little secret grove area, or whatever, I found Kaga's personal chest.
Oh.
And I picked the lock and I opened it, and inside was a note that was like, "In the swamp, this big tree at this time." And so I went to the swamp and found that tree, and there was a big fight and I barely survived, but I did it. And I found the spot and I opened it, and it was like, "Make sure that the boss druid is gone at this time, and that will be our time. Hail to the shadow circle," or whatever. And I found a letter showing that she is actually part of some, like, the shadow druids, like evil druids or whatever.
Ooh.
And I went and I took that letter back and I showed it to everybody, and then I won't spoil whatever happens after that, because
look what I found.
That's a confrontation that you may have at that point.
Yeah.
But that all happened before I set one foot into the Goblin Camp.
And have you encountered Saza? Saza?
Saza, yes. Remind me who Saza is.
Goblin?
Maybe not then. Oh,
The
no,
one-
I haven't encountered Saza. I've heard the name a lot.
Okay.
People talk about Saza.
She is important in how I'm playing it.
Is she the prisoner?
Yes.
Okay, I just met Saza. Oh, but okay, I see what you got going on there.
Yeah.
I met Saza and was basically like, shut up. Bye.
Oh, that's it? Okay. I stepped in. Wait. So when you met her, she was in a cage.
Right.
And she was being, yes. What happened? Did you just stand? What'd you do right there?
I stood in front and
Okay.
everyone's like, why are you doing this? And I was like, I don't give a crap about this goblin. I'll shoot her right now if you want me to. But I don't think you want that on your head. Like, I don't think I care about, like, I'm almost like a Malcolm Reynolds where I care about people that I care about and I don't care about the people that I don't.
I see.
You know, so like, I'm just going through like, hey man, I'll shoot this goblin right now. You don't want that on your head though. It sucks and it's rough. And so you don't need to do this. It won't bring your brother back. But
I went and stood in front of it and said, that's a person right there,
Yeah.
not a target. There have been multiple, what's fun is there have been multiple points where somebody is like, you know, angry at somebody else, or they have somebody's committed a crime, and I have said, hey, I'm a paladin. I get to decide. Like, I'm true justice. I will decide.
Are you lawful good?
Uh,
I guess you don't actually choose, but
that's an interesting element. Like, they leave that out of the character creation,
right?
Because they want you to play however you want to play, and that would, if they included that, they would somehow have to railroad you into certain responses, which would then lead to like a Mass Effect or like a, where it's just Paragon bad good kind of thing, and it doesn't feel as natural. So anyway, I'm playing as, yes, lawful good. Well, mostly just everybody's a person. Give them a chance. But if you are actively hurting somebody, then I will stop you.
Yeah.
Also,
Fox,
oh, sorry, go ahead.
Farrago Fox is asking, what am I playing? I'm playing a half-elf bard. You're playing a paladin. What's your race? Or your species?
Githyanki.
Oh, you're a Githyanki. Hey, yeah. Kyrie. How you doing? Kyrie, this is our podcast. We're in the pre-podcast part of our podcast right now. We're going to be actually podcasting here in just a bit, but for now we're talking about Baldur's Gate 3. We're both in the early hours of it, so no major spoilers here or anything like that. But Fox is playing a Githyanki paladin.
Yeah.
You male, female?
I literally just chose like the class. I chose the race for the species for specific reasons, because I wanted to be. It affected. What did it affect? Something. But everything else I just hit random.
Got it.
So, I mean, male, I guess, is what it turned out as, but
yeah.
it really doesn't. I have Joker green hair though.
Nice.
It's awesome.
Not me. I sat down and I spent an hour and a half, maybe.
Yeah, I don't care that much about my
individually customizing my character.
It's irrelevant.
And then when I was done with that, they're like, you also must design a champion. And I spent probably another half hour, 45 minutes designing. Is the champion who, if somebody comes in co-op, is that who they play, is my guess?
I don't know.
I wonder who that second person is. Whatever. Farrago Fox says, I'm always bummed that Githyanki get the spotlight and Githrazi never do. Githzerai? Githzerai. Let's see. What's the difference? They look Githyanki.
That was such a bigoted statement right there.
If I say a wolf looks like a dog, we're talking species here. Sister races from the same plane. Ah, got it. That makes sense. So, but yeah. But overall, again, we're having fundamentally different experiences and you can't even tell. Like, the game has been so, this isn't Mass Effect where like, I did good, you did bad. I punched her in the face. I had a rousing speech into the camera.
Yeah.
This is like just
The paragon of this, ironically, paragon of this like category used to be Mass Effect. Of
Right.
like, I made choices and it affected my gameplay, and now it makes Mass Effect look like the most on rails like
Right.
linear thing. Like it just makes it look like nothing because there's just so many things, including like just little like decisions you make affect how your party members care about and think about you. I've made multiple choices, and I've had one party member, Gale, like straight up say like, "Hey, I've really appreciated that you've given people a chance because of how I've been treated in the past." You know, things like that. And it's like, cool, Gale likes me more now. Like,
Who's Gale? Hold on, who's Gale? Pronounce or spell whatever. Maybe I'm forgetting
Gale,
somebody's name.
Gale, Gale. You haven't done enough exploring, my friend.
Who is this person?
Don't look at how to find them. You're playing.
I didn't. I just looked up pictures. It's a
okay,
face.
good.
Because I was wondering if I met this person or.
No, you would remember how you met him.
This game is so wild.
It's so good. I love it. I'm sure there's a character I've missed so far. There might be.
And this is what I was talking about when we were talking about Game of the Year or whatever, or the video game awards. And you asked me why I thought that Baldur's Gate 3 edged out Tears of the Kingdom for Game of the Year. And it's where Tears of the Kingdom revolutionized something mechanically. Things have been mechanically revolutionized before. Baldur's Gate 3 has revolutionized narrative in a way that has never been done before.
Yeah.
This is so wild. It's so wild, man. So yeah, we're playing different games.
Yeah, what I think the big difference there is like both of them have those water cooler moments of like, hey, I did this. Well, I did this. Or you can talk about the crazy thing you did in the game.
Right.
In Tears of the Kingdom, it's I built this cool device and then but with Tears of the Kingdom, it's I built this cool device and then finished the quest with it.
Right.
And in this, it's like, yeah, this I made this choice and it affected how Gale thought about me. And the other person is like, Who's
Gale?
What are you talking about? It's like if Tears of the Kingdom said, somebody you were talking to, like, who's Zelda? What are you talking about?
What is a Zelda?
I was wondering what the title was referring to. Not obviously less important, but
right.
Inherently worse. I just enjoy how the difference in,
Agreed. It's impressive and it's wild, and I love it, man. Who is Link? Yeah.
Who?
Okay. Hey,
what is a Ganondorf?
Should we start a podcast, Fox?
We should. I've been thinking about doing that lately. It's a good idea.
Yeah. Hey, everybody. We're about to start podcasting here. While we podcast, we now have this on Google Podcast, which is going away. So now it's YouTube Music. YouTube Music Podcasts has the Nerdy Gritty on it, which means that for people who listen to it later, we don't want the actual podcast section of it to have us discussing things with the chat. So we're not actually going to be discussing with the chat during the actual podcast section of our podcast. With that being said, we do have a post-podcast chat in which I, or if Fox can stick around, I and Fox will go back through the chat and hit all the comments that people made. So keep putting those comments in chat. Keep chatting as if we will have that discussion, because we will come back to that later. But with that being said, as we are podcasting, we will not be interacting with the chat. Just a heads up. All right, Fox, are you ready? Who's got the pre-intro this time?
You do.
Okay, cool. Is shipping fictional characters a problem? Is that good?
Sure.
Yeah. Okay.
It gets the idea.
Yeah. In 3, 2. Today on the Nerdy Gritty, is shipping fictional characters a problem?
One more world disappears inside it. Just another hopeless addict. World that makes a man instead. If the drums don't get you, the guitars will.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back. Hopefully, if you've been here before or for the first time, to the Nerdy Gritty, where we delve deep into the details of pop culture I am your number one waifu, Fox.
I am Dez, and I am happy that you and I have never gained major fame because somebody would have shipped us at this point. So, please, hey, look at me right now, right into the camera. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't.
It's weird and gross.
Don't.
Hey, so okay, we need to talk about something that has been taking off recently. You're not much. I'm not much of an anime watcher. I read a lot of manga, but anime that I've watched is mostly like the cyberpunk anime, that Edge Runners, and I've watched a little bit of Castlevania, some of like the adaptations, but typical anime I don't generally watch. But I read a lot of manga, and I've noticed a trend in some manga recently that also has been taking off in the anime adaptations. Like those ones have been taking off. It's that a lot of manga and anime recently have been kind of centered around the idea of eating stuff. You ever notice this? That like eating stuff?
In fact, I'm going to be talking about that later.
Cool. Okay, well, let's talk about this because recently there's like Delicious in Dungeon.
Well, that's what I'm going to talk about later.
Great. It's a manga series that's been around for a couple of years now, and the anime just came to Netflix, like a new anime adaptation of it, and it centers around this adventuring party that eats, like they're going to rescue somebody in this dungeon, and to save time and money, they're not going to like leave and get supplies and come back. They're just going to eat the monsters they find. It's a great manga. I love it. There's also something called Drifting Dragons, which is basically what if instead of whaling, it was draking, and it's people on a pirate ship that are not pirate ship, but sky ship, right, hunting dragons and then carving them up and eating them. There's other, I mean, a lot of anime and manga will incorporate eating. Goku famously eats constantly, but like there's Golden Kamui, which incorporates a lot of like Ainu, which is like an indigenous tribe, indigenous people of northern Japan. A lot of their recipes and their eating in it. I think there's an anime adaptation. One of my favorite mangas. A lot of recent manga and anime has incorporated eating the things they find in this world. And that's the question I want to ask: is what is the world, the fictional world in which you would like to be, like what would be the best one to exist in for eating?
Oh man.
What world do you want to exist in where the creatures just seem delicious?
Oh, I mean, this is not obviously like the answer, but this is not I want that one. This is I've always been curious. And that's Pokemon.
Yes, there it is. Thank you. That's the very first obvious answer. A million videos have been made about eating Pokemon.
I mean,
what would be the best Pokemon to eat?
There's obviously like Vanillite, right?
That's just straight up ice. That's
it's
just
an ice cream cone.
That's just straight up ice cream.
And then it also makes me like think to myself, these are animals. Like I'm pretty sure at some point somebody's talking about eating Tauros meat. Like,
oh no, it is canon in the games. Like in the original games,
that's what it was.
You could eat Slowpoke tail.
Is that what it is?
That was like a delicacy, but it was also, I think, illegal. But whatever, no, it is canon in the world that they eat. Like they in like some of the Pokemon descriptions, like it describes Magikarp as a good like fish to eat. Or
so
something
then,
like that.
What about the sword ones? Like
that's how you get iron in your diet.
Like, are they actually metal? What about Onyx? Is it?
Yeah, there are steel Pokemon.
Is it rock all the way through? Like,
well, maybe they're like rock salt, and you got to grind them up.
Oh man,
with the rock salt, different seasonings.
And like, oh man, some of them were like mushroom, like truffles, man.
Yeah.
Oh, and see, now I'm into this. I'm really
the weird ones to me are like, can I eat a Porygon?
What even is it?
It's like electronics.
Or what about like a Gengar? Is it?
Oh, can I eat a ghost?
Yeah.
Wait, hold on. Can I eat a Mr. Mime?
No,
that's just a dude.
Oh, Mr. Mime is horrifying.
What about a Jinx? That's just some lady. Or a Hitmonchan.
Speaking of shipping, I bet you people ship Mr. Mime and Jinx. I bet you that's a real thing.
Yeah, it's a weird, problematic ship, but maybe all of them are. That's what we're going to talk about. That.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get away from Pokemon. What is the fictional world that you want to exist in that you think would be great for cooking up and eating the local fauna?
Well, my immediate first thought is the Willy Wonka world and like his actual factory, like walking around where everything's edible.
Well, that's yeah, it's just candy. It's just a bunch of candy.
Everything is just eatable, edible. You can eat it.
Sure.
That's a quote.
I mean, I feel like that's a little bit of a cop out because it's literally just a candy factory. It's not like you're not breaking ethical mores by eating the candy.
Hold on, is that your like
That's
threshold?
you
must
have
break
to feel
ethical
bad
mores
about it.
because then I'm gonna say this world in a school, a kindergarten class. if
Boom. That's the right answer.
We must break ethical mores here.
Here's my answer. I think Avatar,
Oh, okay.
the not the Last Airbender. Well, maybe the Last Airbender, but also the James Cameron one.
Right. A lot of
There's just
interesting
so many
creatures
cool
in there.
looking creatures. I don't care about the Avatar movies. It doesn't hold any interest to me. But some of those animals look like they could be pretty tasty.
Yeah.
And what happens when I connect my weird tail thing to them while I'm eating them?
I think their brain is dead unless you're eating them alive.
Yeah, it's like, sushi, or it's raw.
No.
The
What do you
most
think
are-
sushi is?
It's just eating fish out of the ocean,
Just
right?
grab a fish.
No, it's just eating the fish as it's the most fresh it can possibly be.
Oh my gosh. Let's see here. I don't know. This is a really unique question because a lot of the fiction that I read is just sort of alt worlds of what we already have here.
Yeah, it's just regular animals. You're just eating a pig.
So
or a
trying to
cat.
think of something entirely different, maybe like the Dragon Prince series.
Okay.
They have a lot of fantasy creatures, but they also like talk about food a decent amount in that, like jelly tarts and things like that that are
Sure.
really delicious. So
Food is a really good and easy way for something to kind of ground like it's fiction in reality, where it's like, hey, here's what
Right.
we ate, because that's just a universe. People eat stuff, so it's just a universal thing.
Well, I mean, in fact, tell you what, I'm going to talk about it a little bit now because I will. We don't often do this, but Kyrie in chat says Monster Hunter. Oh
There
my
it is.
gosh, Monster is the correct
perfect.
answer.
That's
Is the correct
perfect.
answer? Yes. Not only do you carve meat out of these animals, but there's so much variety. Heck yes. There was extra things I wanted to talk about, so I'm going to talk about Delicious in Dungeon now. Because what I love about Delicious in Dungeon so much, if you guys don't know, it is a manga/anime in which there's an adventuring party who one of their party members gets trapped in the dungeon, and they're also broke. They had to run away from a dragon and left all their money down there.
Mhm.
And so now they have to find a way to go save her while also saving money. And the way that they save money is instead of buying supplies, they're just going to eat whatever they find in the dungeon.
Yep.
And so now they are 100% like meals, like making legit meals and talking about how to cook them. And
Right,
looks
because they meet
so
a
delicious.
dwarf who is just a straight up like chef.
right.
That
And
guy's awesome.
it looks so good and it's so delightful. And I love this anime and it's fantastic.
Yeah.
But yes, hey Fox, I don't think we're going to get better than Monster Hunter.
Monster Hunt. Yeah. Let me get some of that Diablos, flank steak.
No, but no, not Jagrafast. That Jagrafast is not a Jagrafast. Jagrafast is-
jaggy meat.
Is a Doctor Who thing. And
There's a Jagra. It's a
Jagra. That's what it's called.
Yeah.
Yes, I knew there was a something like that in Monster Hunter. Okay. Hey. Anyway, are you ready to talk about other stuff, more important
Yeah.
stuff?
Well, what's going on in the news?
What's going on in the news, Fox? Well, here's the question. When I saw this article, I was wondering, I wanted to ask you a question, and then suddenly I wanted to know which direction did I want to take this? There's a question I want to ask you, but both are equally crazy. So, which way am I going to take this?
I don't know. The second one.
Okay, no, sure, the second one. You said it. Who would you cast to play Richard Simmons in a Richard Simmons biopic?
Richard Simmons?
Yes. chat, if you don't know who Richard Simmons is, or listeners, if you don't know who Richard Simmons is, he was a like aerobics, like very famous aerobics instructor back in like the 80s. Very boisterous, playful, also
Famously flamboyant.
famously
Yeah.
flamboyant. Became kind of like a life coach as well. Just a very encouraging human being. Really, really kind man. So that's Richard Simmons. Famous, like incredibly flamboyant, famously.
Oh man, who would it be? Because he's also like, you don't have to have somebody who looks exactly like him, but he's got a pretty unique
Absolutely
look.
unique look.
I have no idea who I would go with.
The correct answer is Pauly Shore. Pauly Shore is playing.
His big comeback.
Pauly Shore to play Richard Simmons in new biopic. I was either going to say who would you cast to play Richard
Okay.
Simmons, or
He looks like him.
if you were going to cast Pauly Shore to play somebody in a biopic, who would it be? That was the other. I wasn't sure which one I wanted to ask you of those. So this is something to me that I think is like the rare. No, that really works. Like, hey, Pauly Shore's not the best actor, and we haven't seen him in a while. But I think that's a really good casting.
Hey, maybe it's his time.
Yeah,
he's been
absolutely.
in stuff, like little side stuff. Yeah, I'm looking at his, whatever his filmography right now. He's had tiny roles and stuff. But like, what if he comes back and he's just like gives it his all? And it's just like this is Pauly Shore. He does one more movie, and it's one of the greatest roles ever. Like he just nails it, and then disappears again. Like that'd be excellent. Like,
Well,
did we all dunk on Pauly Shore too much?
We
They just
all
wanted to
there was
up.
a Nicolas Cage comeback. There was a Keanu Reeves comeback. Why couldn't there be a Pauly Shore comeback? Right?
Hey, Nicolas Cage has never left. He's always had good movies. We could talk about this forever, and we can't right now, but someday we will. He's always had good movies. He's just mostly had bad movies.
Yeah, and really bad movies, and sort of like John Malkovich. It's pretty rare that he plays anybody other than Nicolas Cage in those movies, and it's just not great.
Yeah.
I like that you were just saying that he's always been there, but now you're nodding as I'm. You're like,
No,
yeah,
I agree.
Yeah.
Nicolas Cage has had some pretty bad movies.
Yeah. Oh my god.
I'm just saying he's had good ones also, and it's not just it's less rare than you would think.
So yeah, Pauly Shore,
Okay,
Richard
I
Simmons.
look forward
see
to
it.
that. That's going to be interesting. I could see that being surprisingly good. Hey, you want some sad news?
No,
Are you ever really a rock band kind of person? Do you ever play like Guitar Hero and Rock Band
Yeah.
to any great extent?
Guitar Hero.
I was pretty heavy into Guitar Hero 3. I got pretty good at it.
We both knew somebody. I was an intern. You were in high school
Yes.
with him, who could do Through the Fire and Flames perfectly on the hardest mode, while he was wearing a cast that
Broke
went
his
all the way
wrist.
up
Yeah.
here.
Or his
And
arm or
he
whatever.
still was able, with just this motion, able to do Through the Fire and Flames perfectly on the hardest mode. It was the
I don't know if it
wildest
was
thing.
perfectly at that point, but he could do pretty well.
Yeah.
But I got pretty heavy into it, and then when they introduced like vocals and stuff, that was like, oh, I'm down. I'll play some drums and do vocals. That was great. Well, did you know? This is some sad news, but also some like surprising news. Rock Band 4 just announced that they are ending support for it.
Okay.
Rock Band 4 came out in 2013, and it was literally announced this week that they will be ending DLC support for it. They have been continually on a weekly basis adding new songs to Rock Band 4 for 8 years. 12 years.
9 years.
And 9 years.
Yeah.
Meaning
I just looked it up.
that it launched
Weekly?
Rock Band 4. Yes. It launched with 65 songs, and then they put out an expansion that brought it to 120 songs, and now it's ending with nearly 3,000 songs in its library.
If that's weekly content, it's been 468 weeks and however many songs per week. That is insane.
I feel like it has to be some kind of record of just continual DLC support for a single game. And do you want to know why it's ending?
Because Rock Band 5 is coming out?
No.
Oh, good. Because I'm like,
'Cause-
that's gonna flop. I promise you.
Because Fortnite.
What do you mean?
Harmonix is owned by Epic Games, and they
Mm.
just introduced Fortnite Festival, which is basically a rhythm game within Fortnite. And they are officially ending Rock Band 4 DLC support to move more resources toward the Fortnite thing. It's not surprising. It's what Fortnite is trying to do. It's just trying to be everything for everybody. But it just and also it's not like they took away support from something before it got its due. That's a long time and a lot of songs for one game. But it's just kind of sad, that they're like, let's kill this thing that still had a pretty strong community support system, like community for it, for more Fortnite content.
Hey, Fortnite, come here. I'm glad you decided to meet with us today.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
thank you
Have
for
a seat.
meeting with us.
Have a seat. I've been wanting to ask you this question for a while. It's a difficult one. Where does it stop?
At what point?
Where does it end? Fortnite.
How much do you consume?
You can't be the thing, like, you can't be the middleman to all video games ever. It can't be like, I want to play Lego, and so now I have to play Fortnite to play Lego. I want to play Rock Band, so I have
Is
to
that
play
a joke?
Fortnite.
Because they did just put out Lego Fortnite.
Right, that's what I mean.
Okay,
yeah,
all right,
yeah,
good,
yes,
good,
yes, that's what I'm saying here. Like what you PUBG did it, and then you took it from PUBG and you did it better, arguably.
You made a different one. Yeah,
Right,
I mean that's
right.
just how it goes.
But now, like, you're taking everything else too, and you were just some weird fort building game. That's why it was called Fortnite, man. Where do you end, Fortnite? Come on.
Yeah, it's a little sad. It's understandable. I get it. They want to support the thing that's making them more money, probably, but it's just like it feels like let's give a 21 gun salute, kind of like Viking funeral to Rock Band 4 for just the valiant effort.
Problem is you got to load up Fortnite to do the 21 gun salute first.
Yeah, it's an in-game event.
It's an in-game event in Fortnite. Oh man.
Yeah.
What healthcare do you use? Fortnite. Oh, good. I've heard good things.
Oh my goodness. You have to play a game in order to talk to your doctor.
They are going to be, if there is some sort of cyberpunk dystopian future, Fortnite will be in the center of it. I promise you.
They'll be up there for sure. Well, yeah, they're maybe the closest to whatever the company is from. What's the
Blade Runner?
No, not Blade Runner. The one about the virtual reality world taking over.
Oh, the Sixers. Dang it.
That book you read.
Yeah,
the
one of my favorite books of all time. Ready Player One.
Ready Player One. They are the closest to whatever that company is.
Yeah, IOI.
Yeah, exactly. It's just going to be called Fortnite instead. And
pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, and so
when does Fortnite buy Epic? That's the question. When does the Ouroboros come around and Fortnite buys Epic, and Epic's like, wait, how is this happening?
Epic is they're going to release Fortnite within Fortnite.
They've already done that. There was Fortnite's build mode. They did Fortnite, then they did Fortnite Zero builds, and now there's Fortnite build mode or whatever, and they've pretty much come back around in a full circle. It's wild, man.
Well, yep. So R.I.P. Rock Band. You'll probably never come back.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's the peripherals, man.
Yes, that's the big thing. They're not gonna even if it comes to it's not gonna go to Game Pass or something, because you can use a controller on Rock Band. It's not the same.
Okay. Hey, should we get to the nerdy gritty?
Let's do it.
So recently, in fact, you have the info here on the guy who does the voice of Cloud. Is that what it is, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So go ahead.
So recently, Cody Christian, who is the English voice of Cloud Strife in the new Final Fantasy remake series, basically on Twitter, I will call it Twitter because that's just the name of it. Don't care. Recently got into a conversation with some people, somebody, whatever. Let me see if I can find the actual. I have an article about it, but
He should change the name to Betwixt. Betwixt is like this cool mix of X and Twitter, but also is just a really cool sounding name.
No, that would require Elon Musk to take some input from somebody else. And he's not interested in that because he is a genius who is saving the world.
Right,
X,
right.
the idea of the concept of X is it's supposed to replace everything. And so you just solve for X. That's what X is, a variable. It's not like a thing, it's a variable. And X is just the replacement for everything. So anyway, that's a whole thing.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Cody Christian was originally, he was an actor on Teen Wolf. I don't know if you know that. You know, your favorite show, Teen Wolf.
Yeah, that everybody watched.
You know, a remake of everybody's favorite 80s movie starring Michael J. Fox.
Whoa. Don't throw shade at that one.
Everybody's favorite Michael J. Fox movie.
Right, what he's well known for. Nothing else.
Anyway, so he posted a picture about basically Cloud having an opinion or being more upset about Tifa being in danger than others, whatever, just a little joke thing. And then somebody questioned him about like, oh, is this lore accurate? Or I don't need to go through all the details. Eventually, he made this statement. Here's the issue. Quote unquote, shippers crumble under the idea that a character is allowed to have significant relationships with multiple characters. This provides overarching depth. The need to overtly sexualize every relationship can ruin great story development. Which that's kind not a in a certain realm of the internet that set off a firestorm of like this hot take of shipping being problematic in a certain way. So today we want to use that as a launch pad because Cloud and Tifa and Aerith and Barrett, if you play the game correctly, all have the ability to be in a relationship in a certain way.
It's true.
If you played in, I said correctly for a certain reason.
To be clear, in the original Final Fantasy VII, there was actually like a numerical measurement on how much time,
invisible numbers,
of how much time you spent with, or how, like what things you said to them or interacted with them for Tifa and Aerith, because there comes a point later in which there's like a romantic date whole scene, and whoever has the higher number goes on that date with Cloud. You can make that number 0. You can be a total jerk to both of them and never use them in your party. Just make that number 0, and if you do, you go on that date with Barrett. And
you go with Barrett.
It's magical.
It's at the Golden Saucer, which will be a location in Rebirth, the upcoming game, which they might throw a reference to it. Maybe it'll just be an option. Maybe you'll just be able to. I do want to read real quick, just a fun little thing. This guy, I'm really enjoying this guy's takes on things. So somebody responded to that specific post I just said, saying, please just refrain from politics. I'm not sure what was political about what he said. And any other goofy social takes. Just voice the character. We don't need to know your opinions on anything outside of that. Cool. I'm sure that would have been exactly the same if it was an opinion this person agreed with.
Right.
Yeah. Cody Christian responded, please just consume the game and enjoy the hard work hundreds of people put in and thousands of others enjoy. We don't need to know your opinions about anything other than that.
Got him.
Anyway, that's just a fun little thing. What we want to talk about today is the concept of shipping and the impact it can have on what Cody Christian talks about, the impact on like enjoyment of a story. But just we could talk about more than that too, but just the idea of when we take this we take our own ideas about relationships between characters and make them, at least in our mind, canon, or one is more true than the other, at least, and how that can affect our enjoyment of a story.
And let's be clear here. If you think that Tifa is a better partner for Cloud, or if you think Aerith is a better partner for Cloud, that's fine.
Yeah.
We're not talking about to think that it would be cool if Iceman from X-Men got together with Elsa from Frozen. Like, that's
well, fine. Canonically, he would not do that because he's
gay. But... Yeah, that's true. But like, it's fine, that's cool, whatever. We're talking about taking these things and making that like to such an important extent that you are almost trying to make this canonical in some way in your head, or making it something that you will fight for, a hill that you will die on.
Some kind of internet fight that you will get into, or denigrate the writers because they didn't do it the way you think would be better, that kind of thing.
For example, a while back when the Doctor Strange movie very first came out, Iron Strange became a really, really popular ship. Doctor Strange and Iron Man. And when people
Doctor Strange and the Iron Giant.
Some people would say like, hey, both of these characters like identify as straight, or hey, like this doesn't really seem normal, or whatever else. And people would get objectively angry putting like trying to push back against this. And that's what we're talking about. We're not just saying we think it would be cool if these two fictional characters met and dated. We're saying, is it a problem when we take this to an extent where it becomes something that you're willing to fight about or argue about or a hill to die on? So here's what I will say right off the bat. I have thoughts on this. As somebody who has interacted with teenagers for a very long time, whether as a youth pastor or now having a teenager of my own or whatever else, my question, so I'm just gonna say I have a lot of thoughts on this, but before we get to my rants, what are your
Sure,
thoughts?
that'll take up at least half the time we're here.
Yeah.
I've been on the internet, I would say, most of my life, but I would say older than the typical age for getting into this kind of thing when it started really taking off. Obviously, there's been fan fiction, there's been all that kind of stuff forever. Before the internet, there's it's not just an internet thing. It's just become much more prolific when the ability to see other people doing the thing you enjoy, just it creates more of it. It just when a community starts to exist, that community gets bigger, things like that. So when I think about this kind of thing, it's just never something that seemed interesting to me. It was never something that was my kind of thing, and because of that, I've always found the concept of shipping a little silly. Now, here's the thing. In my mind, I write all kinds of fan fiction. I take a movie that came out and say, wow, they did that wrong. This would have been the better plot. I've written so many way better movies than actually came out. I did this talking to my wife.
Movies that Fox thinks would be better than the movies that actually
that's what
came
I'm saying.
out.
I mean, that's not necessarily what all fan fiction is about, but like I have reimagined certain plot lines in the MCU and said that would have been a better way to do it. That's writing fan fiction. That's what I'm doing. I'm creating a fictional storyline that I liked more. But at the end of the day, my interest in like that kind of thing, I would say, leans more toward like criticism, as in like film criticism.
Yeah.
Not saying it's bad, but like film criticism in the sense of what's the word I'm looking for? Kind of analyzing something, into looking at the different parts of it, and rather than these characters are better, these characters, trying to create a more fictional world for myself. Anyway, so when I think of shipping like this, I tend to think it's a little silly. It's a little more fantastical. My mind always goes to, well, it's probably a 12-year-old that's doing this. Which isn't always the case. Definitely isn't always the case. Twilight came from, 50 Shades of Grey came from Twilight fan fiction from a person who was, I think, in her 30s when wrote it. It's not just a 12-year-old thing. That again, I have these stereotypes in my mind that are not accurate. That being said, I do think the idea of shipping and getting so caught up in it is a sign of, I would say, immaturity. And maybe I might be offending people. But just the idea, like, to me, the main problem with it is that it doesn't allow you to enjoy something that somebody put effort into writing and demonstrate. You don't have to enjoy it, but if you immediately say, well, this character should be with this character and therefore you did it wrong, it just implies that there's an objective way to tell a story and not a piece of, and it takes away the art form from it. rather than, oh, here's what this story wrote. I'm going to appreciate it for what it is. I would have liked this. That's the problem I have with it, is that it takes away the art from the art form, the medium, and creates this realm of, this is objectively the correct way for these characters to interact, even though I didn't actually create these people. This is not my creation. I have a version of them that's different than the original, and I find that very frustrating as somebody who likes to criticize art in that way.
Yeah, I see what you're saying there. You use the phrase, you probably offended some people, and I think that's probably true. So I mean, there are some things that I would push back on, but I don't think that's necessary to get into, really.
Okay.
Just because things like, I don't think it's immaturity. I think it's just a choice of what you care deeply about.
Yeah, no, 100%.
There's a lot of things that people care deeply about that are silly and unimportant.
There are things that I care about that are silly and unimportant that if somebody I've been offended by in the past. Yes.
So for some people,
way older than 12 years old.
Right. Yeah. So or maybe the answer, it is immaturity, but it's the same immaturity that everybody has.
Yes. Yeah. Immaturity is a pretty pejorative term, and it can be felt as a pejorative term, and so I apologize about that.
But what I agree with you on is this whole mindset of trying to, when people first of all take it as necessary canon, where they say like it has to be this way, and if it's not, then you're wrong, or especially if it doesn't turn out the way. So like, let's say if it's early in a story and people like these two characters and they want them to end up together and they never do, or both of them find other people, and fans get upset and angry with that. It's just showing that there is this, I am right. This is the way it should be. We all agree on this. It's almost that same heart that Star Wars fans bring a lot of times, that saying you did it wrong, and therefore because you have done it wrong, you have now given us permission to harass you for it.
We demand a Snyder cut.
We demand, there's a perfect example. We demand a Snyder cut.
Biggest example is, this was bad, but because of these reasons, and therefore we demand, we the fans, the same thing with like the end of Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
It was wrong. It wasn't just bad, it was incorrect.
Yeah.
And therefore you owe us the correct version.
So here's my struggle. Because my struggle comes from a different side of things, where you're talking about the respect of the fiction, the respect of the art form. I agree with that. I agree with what you're saying. My struggle comes from a totally different area. And it's this, what I feel is a loss of the intimate friendship. A loss of people being able to be deep, close, genuine friends. I've been watching Invincible season 2. And I'm not all the way caught up, so hopefully I'm not going to be proven wrong here. But there is the character who plays Invincible, and then there's Adam Eve, and they're, both attracted to the heterosexual people, same age, both superheroes, and they're very good friends. And that's it. And they hang out, and they talk about their struggles. And I know there's so much of the shipping happening out there, but why can't we let these people just be good friends? Again, so spoiler now, for big spoilers for season 2 of, in fact, I'm even going to give the thumbs down, thumbs up thing for big spoilers of season 2 of Good Omens. So thumbs down while the spoilers are happening.
Do the two get together?
The main characters, Aziraphale and Crowley, end up together. And in the first episode or the first season, they're these like dear friends, and they were great in that way. And it's this necessity to bring romance into it where it doesn't need to be there. And they had no actual romantic chemistry in season 2. And could you
reinterpret their friendship in a certain way? Absolutely. I watched the first season of this show.
Right.
Could you interpret them as being, not overtly together, not actually together, but interested in each other? Absolutely. You could interpret it that way, but it was not actually something that took place.
Not in season 1, no.
Right.
But in season 2 it did. And it was like this feeling, like this pressure almost, I'm guessing, from fandom saying these two people must end up together. Or so okay, thumbs up, spoiler time over for that. Or for getting into Final Fantasy VII.
Mhm.
It's okay to say Tifa and Cloud are deep, intimate friends. People that needed each other in their childhood, people that went through trauma together and have a very dear and close friendship. But Cloud ends up with Aerith. Or the other way around, whichever other
Mhm.
way you want to swap that.
Or with Barrett.
Or with Barrett,
Or
who knows?
Red 13.
Or, well, maybe not that one. Maybe, maybe I'll draw the line somewhere.
That's my headcanon.
But it's the idea that Sam and Frodo need to end up together romantically, or
That's the fish version of Frodo. He's Salmon Frodo.
Sam and Frodo, delicious.
Blub, 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 blub.
But just this mindset that intimate friendships cannot be a thing; it must become romantic, and I think it's a sign of loneliness.
Mhm.
Honestly, that comes from internet culture, kind of what we're trying to combat with Save Point, of because you don't like most of your interactions are digital ones. It's hard to build genuine relationships and deep, intimate, interpersonal relationships. And so when you see those deep, personal, intimate relationships, your brain immediately believes that must be what romance is. That must be
Right.
romantic. And so my struggle with it mostly comes from this: can we please just be friends?
Yeah.
Like, have we lost the friendship, the importance of friendship, the importance of deep, intimate friendships? There are women that I am deep, intimate friends with, and I'm still married and they're married, and it's great. Like, no big deal. There was somebody I ran into at the grocery store, and her and I immediately, we hadn't seen each other in a few months, immediately embraced, talked and spoke in the middle of the grocery store. It was wonderful reconnecting with her for a few minutes. And there was 0% romance in there whatsoever. Like, and we have to allow that to be true. And when we cannot imagine a situation in which people have an intimate relationship that isn't romantic, that's the problem.
Yeah.
We have to allow for intimate friendships.
Yeah, it also, I mean, the two are intertwined, are two kind of aspects of this, of the, objectifying versus allowing the art form to take its whole, like, I trying to rephrase what I was saying before. I didn't say it correctly. I think it's a good sign of like media literacy, which comes with time.
Mm-hmm.
I was not good at it for a long time. I know for a fact that there is a couple that my family, or me and my wife, are now very close to, that we were not friends because I had a hard time. This is not a joke, but it sounds like one. I had a hard time accepting that they had a different opinion on the Star Wars prequels than I did. That is a fact. That is not a joke. I am not. This is not a bit. I'm not goofing. That is true. And it took actual like let's talk about this and actually like say no. We want to be friends. So let's just not talk about that. Like,
this is a true story. There was a
this
moment
is
we
a
were
true
all
story.
hanging out.
You were there,
and I
when
said,
that like fateful moment took place.
And I said one time,
conflict took place.
like I just brought up the prequels and compared them to the Lord of the Rings or something like that, whatever it was. They made a flippant comment like, yeah, it
whatever,
reminds me
nothing.
of this or whatever. And everybody wrote, no, no, we're not allowed to talk about that. And I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah. And it was a sign of my inability to like accept that there are different opinions on things. And at the same time, like, it is a sign, I think, of maturity within the media literacy realm, of being able to say, that was the movie, that was the story, that was how it took place. I expected this to happen. Do I think this could have worked? Sure, but it's okay. Let's take it at face value, and then let's, like, maybe I thought this should have happened. It didn't. Well, let's see why not. Why didn't it? What was the value of what took place? What did the creator intend for that story? Did they want to actually tell a story about friendship? Did they want to depict the thing that you're talking about, deep, intimate friendship, rather than fall into, yes, they are in a relationship now because they're a man and a woman and have chemistry? maybe they intentionally did that to make some sort of point, to give us a message of some kind. Maybe that's what's going to happen with Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. They're going to tell a specific story, and you won't actually get to choose, and whatever happens. And what we have to be able to do is accept that that is what happens, and that is canon. Like, canon isn't that big a deal when it comes to dumb things like Final Fantasy. I love me some Final Fantasy, but canon, non-canon, whatever. But we do have to be able to say that is what happened. That is what took place. That's the story. Do I think there's an alternate? Maybe I'll go write the alternate ending myself on AO3C or whatever it is. AO3.
AOC, the
AOC's personal website.
Yeah, her
she does a
personal
lot of
website. She loves fan fiction.
Yeah, I ship AOC with all the other
all the other senators,
congresswomen. So it's no, it's just we have to be able to at some point just accept that's what took place. And if I thought it could have worked differently somehow, sure. But if we are going to act in a way that says no, that was objectively wrong, then the author might as well not do anything. There was a joke in a review of Star Wars Episode 9 that I watched. Basically, like, it felt like their whole deal was like it just felt like they were trying to incorporate a million different people's opinions about what should happen in the same movie. And the joke was, well, maybe they should just film all of those, and then you can just plug in the blanks of what you want to happen, and then they tell you what theater to go watch that version of the movie. That'd be the joke, because everybody has an opinion on what should happen. Should Rey and Kylo Ren get together? Should they not? Should they be enemies? Should they be friends? Should they be lovers? Okay, well then just find whatever theater is showing the particular, and at that point it doesn't, like, obviously that's a joke, but if we go about it saying the thing I like has to act in the way that I want it to, then you are removing the thing you like from the equation. Final Fantasy VII doesn't matter if it has to correspond with your ideal storytelling. You're removing Final Fantasy VII from the equation and inputting your own thing. You're just taking somebody else's work and using it as the fill in the blank for the story you want to read or play or watch or whatever. And it feels very it just feels insulting to the creators. You're taking, yeah, sure, I guess you did something good, but actually this is how it's supposed to be done. And it's very frustrating when I see that kind of thing.
I think, so let's transition a little bit here, because we were putting like a pin on the things that we struggle with on it, but we also agree that it's not exclusively bad. You know, a question that was brought up in the chat is like, if all of that is true about shipping, then when does just fan fiction become problematic? Like, just making, is that bad too? So I think really for me what it comes down to is, what is the purpose of you shipping these characters? Mm-hmm. If you'd like to write an alternate story, or if you're hoping these characters get together because they have good chemistry or whatever else, again, I think that's fine. I don't think there's any issue with that. I don't see a problem with that, whatever. I think that if you are of the opinion that any sort of intimate connection must end with romance, that's the problem. And so, in fact, I would say personally, my struggle isn't with the interaction with the fiction. It's my heart breaks for people that has that kind of mindset.
Yeah.
That if your brain immediately thinks that any sort of intimate connection must end romantically, why? You know, what is it that you're looking for in a relationship that can't just be friendship? You know, if you look at these two characters and you say to yourself, wow, they support one another really well. Wow, they've been through a lot together. They are great in conversations. Everything is going really, really well for them. All of that is wonderful, but all of that should be said about friends as well.
But if they don't kiss, it's wrong.
Right, exactly. And so for me, my struggle from shipping really deeply comes from the why you feel you need to do it. And I think it's because so many people feel like there's no such thing as an intimate friendship. It's either casual friendship or romance and nothing in between.
Yeah. There's definitely like deeper issues that can come up when we're talking about this kind of thing.
So
that
go ahead.
are no, I'm agreeing with you. It's more I think I'm more focused on the surface level issue of like, well, just let the art be the art. You can have your own ideas about it, but let the art speak for itself.
So on that note, then let's transition here is, and again, let me be absolutely clear, and this is a disclaimer we've given a million times. We're two idiots that talk on the internet. Our opinions are exclusively that. So we're going to go into a when we think it's fine. This is not a permission or lack of permission. We are not saying you're allowed to
Obviously,
or not allowed to
yes.
do anything.
Do we need to make that a disclaimer? Everything is an opinion, because that's inherently true.
Right, yes.
We do not get to be arbiters of things.
Well, the
That's not- I
unfortunate
don't-
reality is there are a lot of people out there that say things like this and they don't recognize that it's just their opinion. They believe everybody should listen to them. And
I mean, I'm right, but yeah, I get it.
But so yeah,
No,
this is not a permission granting or anything like that. So, but with that being said, when is it okay then? Like when does it, shipping or fan fiction or anything like that, what differs from when it's, yeah, fine, man, that's great, I love that you're engaging with the fiction in this way, to that's probably not the best way to be going about this.
Whatever happens in your mind, we're not going to know about it.
Yeah.
I think the big line that gets crossed is how you treat others with different opinions. I think that is going to be the number one. Like, that's when it's wrong. That's when you have crossed the line, when you've allowed this it's a fictional version of a fictional story. It's 2 layers deep in the fiction. You've allowed it to treat somebody else in a way that does not recognize the reality of what you're talking about. A fictional version of a fictional story. It's all just make fun and games and make believe, and that's fine. Write a story. In fact, I would say that fan fiction and shipping and all that kind of stuff, for a lot of people, might be a springboard into an actual like writing career or hobby or whatever it might be. Like, not that writing fan fiction doesn't count as actual writing, but like, okay, I enjoyed this, maybe I should do my own thing. That kind of, like, I think it could be really great for people. But when it creates a toxic culture, when you are part of a culture that is attacking, whether that's somebody else who has a different ship than you, oh no, they could never be together, or is it like a voice actor this voice actor has nothing to do with the plot of this character. Yeah, he's going to give some like, some kind of like, obviously voice actors do a lot for characterization, but the actions the character takes are not written by him. But when somebody on Twitter is then going to tweet at them and say, hey, nobody cares about your opinions, or I'm sure there are much worse things in the replies on that post, then you have done the bad thing. Then you have crossed the line into allowing this not inherently bad thing to become a bad thing, to become to become internetified.
Yeah,
where you lose sight of of the humanity of the situation. It's just words on the internet or whatever, and you lose sight of the impact of what you're doing.
and I think that goes both ways, of course. If somebody writes fan fiction and posts it on their personal blog that Tifa and Aerith end up together, you can't shout at them because that's not what actually happens in the game. Like,
yeah,
and they're just like, this is just my pretend fun story that
right.
Calm down, yo. So yeah, you're right. When it becomes, you use the word when it creates a toxic culture, I think that's exactly a massive part of it, is one way or the other, when your protection of the fiction, whether it be the fiction as an actually canonical fiction or even your fan fiction in your head, when it creates a toxic culture, that's a problem. Especially when people have to leave the internet, that's a problem, and when people are receiving threats, when people have to quit their YouTube channel, things like that. Like
this happened recently, yeah, with she was like the face model or some kind of for Mary Jane in Spider-Man 2.
Oh, really?
Because people decided that's not what Mary Jane is supposed to look like, and they were literally calling her actual like day job and like harassing her, and she like put out a statement saying, please stop doing this, which just feels like we're like, to have to say, hey, I know you don't like what those two connections of this person doesn't like what the character in the video game looks like, so I'm going to harass the business that the model works for. Like, that is such a problematic, like, oh, just a rough place to be in, that you have taken it to that extent that your opinion on this video game thing, it's such a problem. But it happens. Like, it's just a real thing. We get too passionate about this stuff into cringe territory.
I would say what it really comes down to, other than the because the toxic culture thing is true in so many ways, but as far as shipping specifically goes, it's your purpose as to why.
Yeah. Oh yeah, this is going to be a personal like choice you have to decide.
If you are shipping because you really enjoy the fiction and you thought it would be cool if those two characters got together, cool. All right, that's fun. Whatever. But if it's to kind of fill a void in your heart, to kind of like plug a hole that wasn't there before, if you feel the need to consistently ship every single fictional character that you see, I think that's a time that you need to look and ask yourself, why am I doing this? Is it because I am inherently missing that type of relationship in my life? Is it because I am inherently missing personal, intimate friendships in my life? Do I understand what friendship is? Do I really, truly understand what friendship is? And a lot of times I think that answer is going to come down to no. And I mean, I'll use it as a plug, man. That's a huge part of what we do with Save Point, is helping people plug into physical communities so that they can start getting an idea of these true, genuine interpersonal friendships that we have. But if we are shipping characters to fill a void in our heart, that's a problem.
Yeah.
And that's when it becomes things that people fight for, hills that people will die on, because to them it's that thing that's filling the void in their heart. And so you gotta fight and protect it.
It's not always usually not going to be recognized.
Right.
It's going to be something that is deeper, and it might just be, you might just consider it a hobby that you're passionate about.
Yeah. All right. Well, hey, any final thoughts on this?
No, I think I've said what I say. Ship, sure. If that's something that you find enjoyable as like a fun hobby with friends, but with all things in your life, you should be thinking about them. Maybe take a minute. Why am I doing this? Oh, it's just a fun thing. If somebody has a different opinion, that's fine. Okay, cool. We'll move on. Hey, it's great.
Especially when it comes to like deep interpersonal things. Like if you're a sports fan and you wish that the 1943 Yankees could play the 2010 Astros or whatever,
I think you can do that in some of the like video games. So
you can for sure. But you just have kind of that dream. That's fine. That's nothing. But when you're doing it to try and like fulfill interpersonal relationship emotions, take a look at that. Take a deep thought about that for sure. Hey, man, dang. On that note, y'all, hey, we love you. If you're listening to this and you're thinking to yourself, woo, I kind of do feel what they're talking about there, and maybe I do need like some people to talk to about this kind of stuff. I dropped a link in our Discord. In our Discord, there are people there who love you and want to talk with you. But at the same time, there is a channel called Find a Church, and you just put in your city and state, and we help find you a real-world physical community to plug into, as well as one that kind of loves the things that you love, a nerd-friendly church. So, yeah, just quick plug on that note there. Hey, Fox, what have you been up to, man?
Playing obviously playing Baldur's Gate. We talked about Baldur's Gate a lot today. Have we ever talked about the amount of time we've been putting into what's the game we're playing with our friend?
Deep Rock Galactic.
I can never remember the name of it. Have we talked about Deep Rock Galactic? Either way, I'm going to talk about it.
Yeah.
I am not a multiplayer gamer. We started playing a little bit like some co-op stuff, some of those like, asymmetrical co-op games. That was fun. So we were looking for other stuff. And then we invited our friend and we played through Grounded, which is really fun, but it wasn't really a genre I was super into. But because of that, with Deep Rock Galactic is a very good game.
It's fun,
Like,
man.
it is a very fun game. I've never looked forward to, aside from like Smash Brothers nights way back when with the boys, you know. I've never looked forward to multiplayer gaming as much as I do now, and a big part of that is how much fun Deep Rock Galactic is. If you haven't played it, it's essentially you take on a certain class, like a role in a group of dwarfs in space that are mining an asteroid for resources. You have different objectives, but each of you has a different role you play and different abilities and stuff. And it's pretty straightforward. It's nothing revolutionary as far as the gameplay goes. It's a first person shooter with, you know, objectives you have to accomplish, things like that. But the just playing together just makes it super fun. Like, it's very like there are genuinely things that are easier to do when you have other people together. We have, you know, our friend, one of the classes is just heavier and isn't able to jump as high. So like I can, you know, and so then I can help him by creating platforms, things like that. It's very fun, and I've been really enjoying playing it.
The amount
And
that we rely on each other is great. Like just little things like I have a grappling hook, but there are things that I'll be able to get to that I can grapple to that are on like a horizontal platform. And so I'll have to say, hey, Fox, can you create a platform underneath that so I can zip up there and get that thing? Or sometimes my son will play with us and he's the driller, and the driller can drill through the earth significantly faster than anybody else.
yes,
And so we'll just be like, okay, the dropship is coming, and he'll just dig a hole from point A to point
all right,
B.
I'm there now.
Yeah, and it's so easy. And like it really is a well-made, fun co-op experience. The missions are kind of not like there's like 6 different missions.
Repetitive.
Basically, but it's still so fun every time. It really is.
Right. Yeah, it really does. Like, there's very few that I'm like, oh, this one. No, you know, we're just playing together and we work together as a team. We've gotten that like even like unspoken teamwork down really well, and
It's
so
great.
I've been really enjoying Deep Rock Galactic.
I read a novella called Warrior Born. It is a brief novella that spans between 2 books. The first book being by Jim Butcher, my favorite author. First book being the Aeronaut's Windlass. Aeronaut's Windlass, the first book in the Cinder Spires. And it is an incredible book of fun steampunk airships in a world in which the surface is not inhabitable because of the animals down there are all just too vicious. Like, it's livable, but you can't survive down there, or you have to be incredible to survive down there. But at some point in ancient history, people built these unbreakable towers that are called spires, and they're 2 miles high and 2 miles wide each, and that's where humanity lives, in spires dotted all over the earth, and each spire is like a different country and whatnot. So that's the series, and it's great. It's wonderful. Warrior Born is a brief novella that takes place between book 1 and book 2, and it was good. It is clearly something that Jim Butcher rushed out.
Oh.
And I say that in as much as, or maybe that he wrote to get out of a writer's block funk or something. And
I see.
I say that because some things feel much more direct and simple, as, you know, predictable than you normally get out of Jim Butcher. The editing is moderate to sometimes not great. It doesn't flow great sometimes. It's not bad. It's a great story. It is so fun. It's just when you compare it to his other works, it falls a little bit short. But what I do love about it is that its ending overlaps with the beginning of the Olympian affair, the next book. And so it's pretty good. It's, if you want to read the series, definitely read that as well. But as far as Jim Butcher stuff goes, it was a little bit not quite his up to snuff stuff. Yeah.
I watched 2 movies in the last 2 weeks. That you ever watch New Girl?
No, I know it, but
No. There's a character in it named Nick. He's played by Jake Johnson. Jake Johnson is the main character in both of them. He directed. So I watched 2 movies. One was called Ride the Eagle. The second one is the Self-Reliance. both of them are Jake Johnson was one of the co-wrote Ride the Eagle, and he directed, I think, and wrote Self-Reliance. And what's interesting is that they both suffer from the same problems. It very clearly seems to be Jake Johnson's the problem. So anyway, let's talk about Ride the Eagle. Ride the Eagle, we were looking for some movie to watch, whatever, and it popped up on Hulu. We're like, well, we like this. Jake Johnson's funny. He was funny on New Girl, whatever. Let's watch this. It's like an hour and a half. Okay, fine. And we start to watch it, and the premise of the movie is this guy who's, supposedly, because there's not a lot of like character demonstration. We don't really know who this person is toward the beginning. We're told stuff later. But he's just kind of this kind of aimless guy in a band in his 40s. His mom dies. Didn't have a great relationship with her. His mom dies, and he in her will, she gives him their like super fancy, nice cabin, but only if he goes and does. It's like a conditional will. He has to fulfill a few things that she has tasked for him, and basically the whole movie is about him doing these things that his mom has set out for him. And the idea is that he's supposed to like learn from these things and grow as a character. What was interesting is it became increasingly obvious that this was very much a movie film during COVID. Because every single like interaction with another character is either just over a phone call or like there's like 12 feet in between. Like he never really has like actual connection or like, contact with any of the other people. And it definitely hurt the premise of the movie. The premise of the movie, as stated by like the writers, is we want to talk about this guy who's actually making connections with people. And he does kind of, but most of it is not that. Most of it is like not him interacting with people literally, and also it just didn't work. It wasn't really funny. It I don't know. It's not worth watching. It was not worth it. And the COVID thing definitely hurt it. It wasn't able to have. I imagined a script. I can imagine a script that they had, and then they said, "Oh, now we have to change things for COVID, and we're going to do it anyway because we have the time and want to, and it'll be cheap." And it just but they had to change the script, and it felt like it could have been much more impactful if they weren't hampered by COVID restrictions. The second one, Self-Reliance, is about aimless 40-year-old guy who lives in this routine, and then as he's walking home from work, gets stopped by the joke is it's Andy Samberg. It's not Andy Samberg playing a character, it's Andy Samberg. He's in the back of a limo, invites him in the limo, and then basically says, you are selected to play a game for the dark web, a game show on the dark web, where for the next 30 days, you will be hunted. People will be trying to kill you. And the only time if you survive, you win $1 million. The only time they can't kill you is if you are within, they determine striking distance, within reach, basically close around a person. Somebody. Doesn't even have to be certain, just somebody. And the whole movie, the premise is like this guy who, it feels like the idea was, okay, he's going to, learn about connections and make some true friendships and deepen relationships because he has forced to be around people now and break out of his comfort zone, break out of his routine. And again, it just didn't do that. It seemed like they were like, well, this is more of a comedy. But the other problem is it was not funny. Like, there was just so much. Like, I wrote a better movie. Speaking of what we talked about, I wrote a better movie from this exact premise 5 minutes after. I annoy my wife by doing this, but here's how the movie would have been better if they did this. And it just kind of was weird. Like, Anna Kendrick is in it, and you think she's going to be the main vehicle for this whole, like, getting closer, because they're supposedly both playing the same, like, contestants on the same game. And so they team up and are close to each other for a while. And then she just kind of disappears from the movie. There's a reason in it, but she never comes, like, no spoilers, but she just kind of disappears. And it's just like, it's very frustrating because it felt like, okay, this could be a great premise. And it just kind of dropped the ball. on the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't recommend either of these Jake Johnson movies that I watched recently. Just watch New Girl or Drinking Buddies, which is a way better movie he was in 12 years ago.
I did it again.
You done did it again, I guess.
I'm giving it one more shot. My wife and I started watching Doctor Who.
Wait, okay. Starting from when?
Eccleston.
Okay, Doctor Number 9.
So, that is now officially season 1 of the second
Did
series
they
of
do
Doctor
a
Who.
straight up
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
okay. Because originally it's like from the 60s, so.
Right. So I have, if you regular listeners may know, I have tried watching Doctor Who. This will be my 4th time, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And I've gotten no more than like 5 episodes in before I've been like, this is just not for me. Like, I understand why people enjoy it. It's fun, but it's just not for me. But my wife and I have been doing a lot of other things like multitasking. And so we were looking for something to put on in the background, which is why we haven't watched Echo yet, because Echo's not something we want on in the background. We want to watch Echo. But
Okay, tell me when you finish it, because I've got opinions.
okay. But we started watching it, and maybe it's because my expectations were very different. Maybe it's because I'm multitasking. Maybe it's because I had an idea of what was coming. It's fun. You know, I'm enjoying it. It's fun.
That's the
It's-
most convincing thing of. It's fun.
No, that's, I mean,
know,
that's
it's
it,
fun.
man. It's fine. You know,
If
whatever.
you don't,
It hurts while watching it, but no.
it's always weird to me how many times people say if you don't think about it, it's good, and they say that as a compliment.
And-
that is a burn on. If somebody came up to me and said, "I didn't think about what you wrote and I liked it," I would say that was the harshest thing I've ever heard.
Hey, Fox.
That is not a compliment.
I maybe we should not tell you what people think about our podcast.
Oh, no. I get it. But it's free, so you don't have to be
Yeah,
here.
that's true.
Nobody's forcing you to listen.
No, it's. I think more than anything, what I struggle with is the quality, like the budgets. Maybe is the better way to put it. The budgets of British television in the aughts,
Yeah.
and compared to the other shows that we watch, it feels like I'm watching 1960s Japanese, people in the foam suits, Godzilla type stuff. And I really struggled with that kind of stuff. The CG is appalling.
Well, that is it.
Like-
It's less good than you could have had, but it is a television show from the early aughts. Like, it's not like.
But even compared to other television shows, we just watched Jurassic Park with the kids. They saw it the first time.
That's a movie. Like, that is a or not Illumination, but whatever. The
ILM.
Lucas.
Industrial Light and
ILM.
Magic. Yeah.
Yes.
And that I wholeheartedly get that. That's kind of my point is I think my expectations on budgets and quality have always been way too high. And even look, with all love in my heart, I say even with acting and writing.
Yeah. Oh, there's a lot of soap opera-esque stuff going on.
And so because I have re-gauged my expectations with it, I'm genuinely enjoying it. It's a lot of fun. We tease it. We give it playful ribs and things like that. But for the most part, I just it's a great show to have on in the background right now. And we just finished season 1. We just got to David Tennant, and I can already tell that like it's getting better as it goes.
Oh, it gets better with David Tennant and Matt Smith for sure.
Right. And so I'm looking forward to that. Like I think I hate this. I hate when people say you just got to push through season 1 and then it gets good.
It's true for so many shows.
It's true for so many shows, but I hate it. It's also why I've never been able to get into Parks and Rec. I really want to.
Hold on. With Parks and Rec, you don't need to watch season 1. It's basically irrelevant.
Okay. Either way, my point being, this I finally was able to push through, and I'm enjoying it. It is. It's good. It's fun. I'm glad. I will say I always saw the appeal. It just wasn't for me. But yeah.
Yeah, I just always go frustrated with how much of it just made up reasons for it to be correct. For it to be to work. There's like, this is a fixed point in time. Why wasn't that?
Yeah.
I get it. That's
so
appealing to some people. It's basically the Star Wars versus Star Trek debate of like it's science fantasy, it's not a science fiction show. It's not
Right.
even really science fantasy. It's just kind of a fantasy show that takes
Right.
place in space with spaceships. But there are some episodes of the show though that are incredibly good. Like it's one of those where it's like I would watch these 6 episodes a million times. Please get all the rest of them out of my face. There's an episode with who's the artist, Van Gogh, and it's maybe one of the best episodes of television I think has ever been created. So
Well, there's one with Eccleston in which half the episode is him sitting down with, he wants to take an alien back to her home planet, but she is condemned for death there. And she's saying, "You're my executioner. You will bring my death." And he's saying, I'm taking you back so you don't hurt people here on Earth. Whatever happens there isn't on my hands. And like, it's this long, really good philosophical conversation.
Yeah, that sounds like a Star Trek episode.
Yeah. And I loved that. That was great.
Yeah.
It was great writing. I was getting in on the debate. I was like, no, that doesn't work because, this and that and whatever. Like, and so it was definitely engaging me. So yeah, it was good writing.
Yeah. Well, good luck. That's
Thanks.
all I've got.
Oh, well then I got one more. I played a game. So for my birthday, our friend Mosjiff, our friend and director of the board, Mosjiff, he got me a game called King Domino. King Domino is a really simple board game.
Are you sure that's not a villain from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure?
Or James Bond for that matter?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah. But
there's a domino in my favorite James Bond movie.
The whole, the basic premise of it is it's like dominoes, but instead of numbers on each half of the rectangle, it's land of some sort, whether it's plains or forests or water or whatever, a type of land. And you're building a 5x5 grid of your kingdom, and you want to be touching those lands together. And then some of the lands will have a crown on it. And so at the end of the game, you count how many lands you have touching of a type. So let's say it's oceans. I have 5 oceans that are touching. Then you count the amount of crowns within that area touching. Let's say I have 3 crowns in that area. You multiply 3 times 5, you get 15 points in that area. Really simple. The entire game plays in 15 to 20 minutes. My whole family has been loving it.
Cool.
He got it for me on my birthday 5 days ago, and we've literally probably played it a dozen times, if not more. Like
nice.
just crushing this game. So way fun, well worth it, super easy, super quick to play. I highly recommend King Domino.
Cool.
All right, that's what I got.
Yep, same.
Right on. Well, hey, everybody, thank you so much for listening. We appreciate each of you being here today. A reminder that we do live stream this every time. Just after this, we're going to be hitting up the chat and going over. There was a pretty engaging chat today. A lot of things I'm going to want to hit on in the chat here. So excited to be doing that here in a second. So you can watch us live at twitch.tv/SavePointMin. Also want to say a really big thank you to Granger for the use of our theme song, All My Friends Have Wi-Fi, and so do most of my neighbors off the album Dear Sam. Thanks, Granger, for your song.
Yeah, and hey, we love that you're here. You're supporting us just by listening or watching or however you're engaging. But if you want to take that support a little further, you can head over to SavePointMinistries.com and support financially. You could share this with somebody else. You could subscribe on Twitch is a way to do it. There are ways to support us that go beyond some if you have the ability and the willingness, financial, some not, some just spreading the word. We would love to see some more engagement for the Nerdy Gritty to expand. And I think a big way for that to happen is through the listeners. So thank you for being here. And if you have the ability, go ahead and help us push expand a little more.
Thanks for listening, everybody. We love you guys, and always remember that saved games save lives.
Bye.
My voice sings all night, and this is what my heart sounds like. Is what my heart sounds like. Is what my heart sounds.
For sure.
Yeah. Hey, everybody. Okay, we're back. I love active chats. We got some good stuff today. I mean, so we're gonna start all the way back from when we just started the podcast. I'm looking right here. We got Farrago Fox saying, "Oh yeah, if shipping is a problem, is other fan fiction." I think we addressed that. Like, there's a difference in kind of what you want to do with that.
Sure.
Be glad this is a Christian chat, or they might try shipping you and I. So, yeah, that's it.
Hey, people ship Jonathan and David, and
So we got Story of Seasons. So this is your food question. What is Story of Seasons, Fox? Do you know?
Story of Seasons is that?
It sounds
I'm
like a
pretty sure
Zelda
Story of
thing?
Seasons is it's like a
No, it looks like a video game series.
yeah. Story of Seasons is a Harvest Moon type game. I
Yeah,
think.
looks like it. Looks like it.
Yeah.
But Kyrie is saying that they always have farmers and food nearby, so
Mm.
that'd be the world she want to live in for food. Farrago
Oh,
Fox.
it's formally known as Harvest Moon. It's literally the Harvest Moon series.
There you go.
Yeah.
Not that this is probably the top spot, but I've been fascinated by the descriptions of even simple foods in Anne McCaffrey's Dragon Riders of Pern series.
Hmm.
That's Farrago Fox saying the Pern series for food. What does dragon taste like? I wonder.
I don't know. Maybe it just tastes like dragon.
Let's see. Regarding grounding a series with food, that's what Star Wars series Andor did. I don't remember there being food in Andor. Maybe it did. I don't remember, but
You're not a true fan. You didn't watch it close enough.
I watched like 3 episodes with my wife, and then she wasn't into it, and so it was like a 2-week break. Then I watched 2 more episodes, but because I wasn't watching it with my wife, I just kind of fell off. And then it was like 6 months, and then I finished it. So definitely there are things that I don't
That's
remember.
weird.
It's good. It's very, very good. But,
Yeah.
man.
Just a weird way to watch it.
Farrago Fox says, "Give me a Pauly Shore Renaissance." Yes.
The Shore Sans.
Let's see here. G Creature says, "Hey, as long as real people aren't being shipped, it's fine as long as it's fictional."
Yeah, we didn't really
Yeah.
talk about that. That's
Yeah.
that's a weird thing to do, though. I think. Right?
And that's something that people do though, is like they'll ship before they were actually dating. So I guess this is in the favor of shipping is Zendaya and Tom Holland.
Sure.
Or
Or maybe the most famous would be Jim and Pam. What's their names?
Oh yeah. So
Yeah.
Jenna Fisher and John Krasinski. Yeah.
Yeah.
Things like that. And it's like, hey, let people just live their lives, guys. Let's not do that.
Right.
Please. No, thank you.
These are actual people with real lives, and a lot of times spouses.
Farrago Fox says his rhythm game currently is Beat Saber. My son plays Beat Saber. He's got VR.
That's definitely like the big one now.
I just try not to barf. That's it, man. I cannot do that kind of stuff. G Creature says when we were talking about Fortnite, let me know when Fortnite supports Sheets and AutoCAD. Can start doing like your work for you.
Yeah, just go into a virtual office space.
Yeah. Let's see. Farrago Fox says regarding Fortnite, yes, it's annoying, but being a platform rather than a game isn't necessarily bad. I have one installation, regular updates, and solid mechanics. So, yeah, I guess that's a fair point. Just saying, like, but doesn't that just make it the middle ground to Steam or the Epic Game Store?
Epic is, yeah, I mean that's what it is. It's not like PlayStation is a platform. It just feels like I don't know. It's just it's a whole thing about an independent studio versus being purchased by somebody else, and that's overarching studio or overarching developer publisher having directing what's actually happening on the development level.
Yeah. G Creature just responded saying that's why he likes PCs over consoles, because he can work on his PC, work and game.
Sure.
I get that for sure. I appreciate having a dedicated machine, and maybe this is a privilege thing that I can afford both, but I appreciate having a dedicated machine for my gaming and a dedicated machine for my working. And it's nice.
Well, I got the platinum on Power Washing Simulator, so I feel like I did some pretty hard work. I played Death Stranding. I had to work to like actually want to play that one. And it failed too because I didn't want to play it.
When we were you apologize if you had offended anybody. G Creature says I can relate. I felt offended by you two playing video games that I'm passionate about incorrectly. G Creature, if you don't know, chat was a fan of ours when we were doing YouTube as Des and Fox back in the day. If I mean call throwback, I should say throwback to Des and Fox Play. You can check that on YouTube.
Yeah.
There's literally thousands of videos there. Kyrie says the only person allowed to say that quote, it has to be this way is the author. Whether or not I agree with the author is something entirely different. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's
agree with
the J.K. Rowling thing right now.
The J.K. Rowling thing, the George Lucas thing, right?
Yeah.
Like, hey, this is what it is, whether you like it or not, and just kind of have to just deal with that sometimes. It's okay if you don't like it. It's okay to say I don't like that. It's when you say I don't like that and I hate people who did. That's when it becomes a problem.
Right. I'm going to I'm going to swat them. I'm going to threaten them
Yeah.
online.
Farrago Fox, and this is an interesting thing. Okay, he says, I'd go further than saying that there's a loss of intimate friendship. I'd argue that we've seen the destruction of the same in media. That media is but media has almost pushed back against or gone against intimate friendships. And I could see that in many cases, in as much as every friendship becomes romantic at some point. Like if you were going to say modern day, so the current fiction, famous intimate friendships, not funny friends, not goofy friends, current day.
I mean, I want to say like I know there are some, but also I can't think of them right now.
I'm blanking, man.
They have to exist.
Most recent off the top of my head would be Sean and Gus from Psych. They are great
Okay, I was
friends.
thinking like heterosexual male and female kind of thing where
But still, I mean,
Sure.
I promise you there are people out there that ship Sean and Gus, like
well, yeah, that's true, but I mean, there's still a pretty dominant like heterosexual bent in media, and so I like I mean even like Rey and Kylo Ren, mortal enemies.
yeah. Farrago Fox brings up Cap and Bucky. Cap and Bucky's a good one. Cap has
That was a huge one that people shipped for sure.
right. Cap hasn't been around since Endgame in 2018. It's been 5 years since that. But
Yes.
so again, that's tough, man. Ooh, we don't know what's gonna happen yet, but as of right now, the character Aquafina plays in Shang-Chi and Shang-Chi himself.
Oh yeah, that's in the MCU. That's probably the best. Like, are they dating? I don't know. No, they're just good friends right now.
And I hope it stays that way. Please, Marvel.
Sure.
They have great chemistry as strong friends.
You know what? I
gonna be
would also
okay.
like is in relationships like that. Sometimes it feels like they give an excuse why they're not together. Like one of them is gay, or whatever. Where it's just like you don't need to do that.
Yes.
You don't need to provide some reason why they're not together.
Yes.
You can just say they're friends, and it's perfectly fine, and it's great, and it doesn't matter.
G Creature says, look up Bethesda Dragon Break. All endings are canon at once. What? So is it like a multiple endings, but they all are canonical?
It's like a Zelda thing. Everything is true.
Everything is canon. That's right. That's crazy. He says, G Creature says, I think this has been caused by TV shows basing their writing on internet feedback starting around 2004 and people getting spoiled by that. So shows that don't do that are harassed. I wholeheartedly agree. I think that's a great take. The feeling pressure, especially within nerd culture and fandom culture, there is a very passionate response from fans. And so once writers start saying, ooh, let's take advice from the fans, and that impacts the writing. Now that doesn't happen, fans get really upset and angry. And that's a
whenever I
great
see
point.
a director or something talking about, we made this one for the fans, that's a red flag. To me, that says bad. They know it's not great, but it's got some references or some lore or something. That's Five Nights at Freddy's. That's the one. Five Nights at Freddy's. We made this for the fans. Okay, could you have made a better movie for the fans? Because that's kind of insulting. Yeah, sure. The fans, super fans are going to recognize more. Doesn't mean it makes it a better movie.
Virgo Fox, hot take. Maybe people hunger for shipping because that's the type of relationship most missing for society at large. And G Creature says, I've experienced this exact thing before. Someone I hung out with assumed that that us playing video games together and venting out family things was romance and not friendship. Because apparently if you talk about with someone about how you argue with family, that means marriage. we got in a big fight because I was apparently misleading them.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
that's tough. And yeah, again, this type of thing is very much what SavePoint is trying to combat, is just, and we found this to be true in politics as well, that statistically and psychologically, there are studies that are showing that the more in-person community you have, the more tolerant you are of other opinions across the board. And that's like as simple as that. Not qualified that your community has to be with people who agree with you or has to be people, whatever. Just, hey, if you see other people's faces more often, you learn to empathize with humans more. And that's just real. So yeah, it's a big deal. All right, we're into Deep Rock Galactic. Farrago Fox says Deep Rock is good stuff immediately after G Creature says Deep Rock feels like a cult. to which
Rock and Stone.
To which I may or may not have responded in all caps, Rock and Stone forever. To which G Creature just said, yeah, that. Yeah,
Rock and Stone to the bone.
If you don't rock and stone, you aren't coming home is a threat. Oh my goodness. Let's see here. And it looks like we're about caught up. You know, I mean, G Creature says about Bethesda wanting to streamline their lore going into Morrowind, so they invented the Dragon Break. The Dragon Break is what makes all things canonical at once there. So
Cool.
Awesome. Hey, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. We love that you guys were here. We love hanging out with y'all. We love chatting with you guys. As always, I'll drop it in here again. The Discord. Come hang out with us. I know most of y'all are already on there, but hey, for those of you who aren't, we'd love to see you over on our Discord, keeping the conversation going. We'd also love to find you a church. If you want to find a church, you can do that in the Discord, or you can follow that link in the chat right now. With that being said, we love that each and every one of you were here today, but always remember that there is a church out there that would love it if you were there. We'll see you next time, guys. Bye.